story high, and yet the apex of the simple roof was over 30 feet off the ground. The single stone chimney leaked thin smoke into the night, and a comforting glow glinted past drawn curtains. As he approached, the swirling wind changed in direction, coming straight from the cottage. Instantly, the horses tensed and stopped, throwing their heads around in uncertainty and alarm. Cursing, Father Gideon remembered where he was, to whom he was forced to turn. With a flick of the reins, he turned the wagon round on the wide path so that it stood between the cottage and the horses. They calmed noticeably, and he allowed them to drop their heads to the grass, pulling on the brake to stop them straying too far. The princess weighed next to nothing, yet Father Gideon was aware that he was no longer a young man as he carried her the last few tens of yards to the cottage. As if sensing his arrival, the door opened as he climbed the first wooden step towards the wide deck that surrounded the whole building. A vast shape blocked most of the light from escaping, and an irrational fear swept over him for an instant.
"Gideon,"
the figure said, its voice at once low and yet unmistakably feminine.
"I was expecting you. Bring her in."
"Thank you, Morgwm," Father Gideon said. He knew there was no point in asking how she had known of his journey, when none back at the castle knew that he was gone, let alone that he had brought the princess with him. Morgwm the Green had always been an enigma to him, but her knowledge of medicine was unsurpassed in the whole of Ballad. Only the petty prejudices of men kept them from realizing what treasures of hidden knowledge were her and her kind. Morgwm stepped back to allow him entry to the front room of the cottage, and he marveled once more at how lithe such a big creature could be. Her tail looked to be a hindrance, yet it moved with her, missing all obstacles, as if it had a mind of its own. Her taloned feet should have gouged the polished wooden floor, and yet she trod with such delicate care that not a scratch could be seen.
"You're staring again, Gideon,"
Morgwm said, the bright scales around her eyes flickering in the light from the fire. "I'm sorry," Father Gideon said, a flustered embarrassment reddening his cheeks, as if he were a teenager trying to speak to a girl who had caught his notice. "It's just, I had forgotten."
"That I'm a dragon?"
Morgwm asked, a faint chuckle in her voice.
"Would that all men could be so fair-minded. But come, place her here."
She indicated a low table close to the fire, which had been spread with thick blankets.
"Let us see what is wrong with your girl."
Father Gideon lowered his charge onto the table. She had slept throughout, although spasms of pain regularly racked her body, and a sheen of grey sweat dampened her face, clagged her once lustrous hair to the sides of her bony skull. "She was taken ill some months ago," he said, stepping aside so that Morgwm could get closer. "Not long after the child first began to show. I've tried all I know, yet she grows worse with each day." The dragon bent low over the princess, her hands going from head to neck to the large bulge of belly, razor-sharp talons so close to delicate skin, and yet never threatening. She hummed a low, indistinct noise interspersed with odd, clicking noises as she set about her task. Father Gideon looked away, unable to help. He was standing to one side of the fire, beside which a large cauldron of water steamed gently. On the other side, a big basket sat just near enough to be warm without scorching. Something large sat inside it, wrapped in a blanket. Bread-proving, he thought for a moment, except that it would have been a very large loaf, even for a dragon. Then he noticed a gap in the folded blanket, showing something smooth, pale, and speckled with tiny flecks of brown. A thrill passed through him.